If we look at what is being built, it's usually very large homes, usually 4 or 5 bedrooms, taking up most of the land on these new housing sites.
Welcome. Firstly, what is your view on whether the government should be holding firm to its 1.2 million new homes target, even though it was told by Treasury the goal couldn't be met?
I don't think they should be holding firm to that, Kirsten. I think anyone that is close to the industry or works in the industry knew that it was an overly ambitious target from the outset. And tomorrow we're going to get building activity data, which is going to show that both in terms of commencements, which you need to get to completions, we're going to be well behind where we need to be, and completions are still going to be well behind where they need to be as well. Now, things will probably improve over the coming quarters and years as interest rates fall and conditions improve, but we're going to fall a long way short of that 1.2 million. If I was the federal government, I'd be looking forward to the next 5 years after this and planning for how we're going to deliver more housing, working with the states and local governments to making sure that actually occurs.
So what is the problem with holding on to an ambitious target that may not be able to be met?
Look, I think it's the target itself is not the issue. It's the fact that the government continues to say that, you know, we think we can still get there. I think they would be, if they just levelled with the electorate and said, look, that's the target we wanted. We're not quite going to get there, but we think if we push this target out for another 2 or 3 years and we do all the heavy lifting we need to do now, then we were a much better chance at hitting that target. But, you know, things have worked against us. We haven't got policies through government as quickly as we would have liked. Construction costs have surged. Interest rates have moved against us. That's made it pretty much impossible to hit that target. But if we can start working now, that target is achievable down the track.
Does it also suggest that the government currently is misjudging the scale of the reforms needed?
I think there's definitely some of that. I mean, we have seen construction costs surge, and you know, a lot of the levers that need to be pulled here to get more housing built doesn't sit with the federal government. It sits with the state and local governments. So, you know, they can incentivise state and local governments by, you know, incentives around funding and things like that. But we really need all 3 layers of government to work together.
Why have you started to wonder whether the trend of building bigger homes is part of Australia's problem?
Well, when the pandemic hit, what we saw was there was this massive escalation in construction costs. Now, that escalation has slowed, but those prices aren't coming down. So it now costs a lot more to build the same homes we were building 5 or 6 years ago. And it's also taking a lot longer. So productivity around building new homes has really deteriorated as well. So not only is it costing more, so that thins out the number of buyers for brand new homes, but it's taking longer to deliver those homes. And, you know, I think we need to start looking at other options. And if we look at what is being built, it's usually very large homes, usually 4 or 5 bedrooms, taking up most of the land on these new housing sites. And I just started to think about this and I thought, you know what, maybe we need to go back to how things were, you know, 30, 40 years ago, where you have smaller homes and you make them easy to renovate. So over time, people can actually add bedrooms, add bathrooms, add car parks, add verandas and all these sorts of things to add value to the home. That would mean that these properties could be built quicker. And it would also mean that they can be built cheaper, because building out of timber as opposed to brick or brick veneer is typically cheaper, is a cheaper option.
Why do you think Australians are building bigger homes at a time when average household sizes are in fact declining?
I think a lot of it comes down to how much a piece of property, so the land and the house, costs. I think a lot of people are building bigger homes thinking, okay, I'll spend a little bit more up front and my family will grow into this home. It might just be a couple, no kids. They're planning to have a couple of kids. But because the transaction cost is so high, because you've got stamp duty, which discourages people from moving into better sized property, and because property prices have escalated so rapidly over recent years, I think people just feel like if I can get a better and bigger home sooner, that's a better outcome. And I think the other part of this is those properties are more likely to appreciate in value at a faster pace than other options as well. So people are always thinking about the resale value of their home as well.
Cameron Kusher, good to speak to you.
Thanks for having me.